Hi guys, this one's going to be hopefully a pretty quick stream. So I guess there's a couple of things again worth kind of sharing, right? Now, I know for you guys who watch some of these videos and say, oh, nothing's changed, nothing changed. I think in the grand scheme of things, I keep saying nothing's changed, and I guess all the way back from way back when, nothing's really changed, right? If you already follow me or you're kind of following closely, if you guys are already subscribers in terms of Discord, you're already going to know where we're at, kind of why we're at, and that's kind of the whole point of the subscription, right? If you're not and you're just listening, you're looking for kind of golden nuggets, you're looking for areas that might give you kind of some kind of sway. There's a lot more to this than just pushing out signals. Now, if I was looking at this and say, I'm some kind of YouTube influencer, look, there's a line here. If we break through there, hey, guess what? We're going to fall. Maybe there's another line like this. If we break above that, hey, we're going up. That's useless, right? That's kind of nothing to nobody. I can draw lines kind of anywhere on the chart and just pick which way it's going to go. And nine times out of ten, it's just wrong, right? These guys are looking for clicks, they're looking for likes, they're looking for watches, they're looking for followers in essence, right? This is where they make their money in terms of YouTube streams, 4 a day, and let's just kind of go long, 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 and long again, and once, hey, we got it right. I think the point being, right, is there's a couple of reasons why I've talked in the last couple of streams as to why it's not ready yet, right? And if it is, then the whole market, in essence, in crypto sense, it is actually doomed, right? So what I want to do is I want to share a couple of things first, right, and then step into why I believe we are where we are, and then ultimately what I see kind of going next, right? This isn't, like I said, a long call. This isn't a short call. This isn't a buy me now or sell me now. This is just a little bit in terms of education. And if you haven't seen some of our education, myself and Paul, we've actually got a free Skillshare course, right? So if you come down into any of my trading view posts, I'll put a link down, obviously, in the description, as well as potentially up in the top right hand corner. But if you come through my posts, you'll actually see at the bottom of the trading view, we've got this free education. Click on that, go through, etc., etc. The second thing is, if you're not looking for subscriptions, then, just had a book published on this particular topic. It's brand spanking news, out on the 11th. So only a couple of days ago. And this obviously goes through a lot of detail in terms of the kind of methodology that we teach. So in the grand scheme of things, right, where we are is to do now with the bias, right? And the bias, bigger picture for me, is still accumulation. So again, nothing's changed. In terms of the Wyckoff schematic, I still think we're pretty early on. And if you don't really understand, those two aspects, right, apart from, going out and buying the book or joining in terms of Discord, then obviously the next thing that I'm going to show is the Trading View Show episode 8. This was the other evening. I don't know what date that was. This was actually the 11th. Um, this particular show, I've talked about Composite Man. I've talked about the bias. It's definitely worth a watch. This one, and there's a lot of detail, kind of hidden away, tucked away, kind of in there, right? But I'm going to come back to this particular post because this one's kind of key in terms of understanding, where we are, kind of why, right? This one for me, I've covered this kind of time and time and time again, right? And it's not so much the, hey, look at what I did, this is awesome. This is more of understanding each stage, step, and the logic behind each step, so that you can get a feeling for this in terms of where we go, ultimately next, right? So to start with, if we've had the accumulation down low, we then ultimately had this reaccumulation phase, right? So I'm going to open this up a little bit. We had this reaccumulation phase, right, tucked in there, right? This reaccumulation followed by the move up, and this is where I guess the rocket call come in, right? This particular short here. The reason for this is this particular candle, right? This candle was kind of tucked away, hiding away, and this kind of set up for this move down, right? As you can see, back in March on that move, it was already pre-planned. Now, one of the things that I discussed in this Trading View live show is that the market itself is only an algorithm seeking liquidity, right? And that's the only thing you need to think about, the only thing you need to understand. And if you can get your head around this, you don't need RSI indicators, moving averages, 15 screens, etc., etc. What you need to do is understand how this liquidity kind of pool system is actually put together, right? So again, the reason for this is when you can make these calls in terms of, it's at the bottom, let's go up, it's reaccumulating, this is obvious. We get to a level that we can see a buyer's climax. Well, again, where's the next level to come down? Clear liquidity. We then move into that liquidity pocket. Ultimately on the way back up, we've seen these kinds of moves. This was again on the way back up there. This was in August. Why we would actually drop down, followed by obviously this move back up. So when I say things like nothing's changed, the reason that nothing's changed is I was calling this from way back when, right? We've now landed at the current phase and the current level. Now, if you want lines drawn on the chart, and let's break it and go long. And like I said, you're kind of asking for trouble, right? And this is part of the reason that I picked the thumbnail that I'm using on this particular video. So there's a couple of things that you really need to take into consideration. And I guess the bigger picture, right, is what have we done throughout this phase, right? I've talked about the COT data. I've talked about what we can clearly see in terms of the accumulation pattern. But I've also explained that that isn't done yet, right? That isn't baked yet. Now, one clear picture, and this is probably the golden nugget you can have in this particular video, is this is the quickest, easiest snapshot in terms of where we currently are, right? And there's two things. First things first, look at where we are stochastic wise. We've actually had a rise up on the depleting volume, right? That's divergence in anyone's book, right? Even influencers are going to know this, right? This is divergence, right? So the next thing then for me is the fact that this is a monthly chart. It is a little bit kind of concerning, right, in the grand scheme of things. Because if we were to assume that we've now moved up first move, and this being the first move, and this is only a pullback, a lot of people say to me, what if this is the 0? What if this is the 1? And we pull back for a 2? Well, again, I've shared this time and time again. If you've missed it, right, let's just assume, I'm going to do this first. Let's just assume that we have half decent retracement, right? Now, normally 1 to 2 moves normally go a bit deeper, right? Let's just give this one the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to stick a line. Right, let's do trend line like this. I'm going to stick this trend line on the 50% marker, right? Now, again, keep in mind, right, and I'm trying to give you as much logic as I can, right? Keep in mind, if that's only as far or as deep as we go back, right, we're likely to come back to 23, 23 and a half, right, on a 50K retracement. Does the monthly look like it's only going to come down that far? You're talking $3,000. Probably not, right? But let's just play the influencer card, right? We're ultimately now pulling back for a 1-2 move because this is off to the moon. Reality is, right, let's look at this now in terms of the extension. We're going to go 0 up to the 1, pull back to the 50% 2, right? This is the kind of thing, this is the kind of move that we'd be likely to see if this was the case. We're likely to see a 3 at 49K, followed by a 4 back at 40K, right? Ugly looking 4, followed by a 5 at the 65K-ish level, right? And that's being, somewhat realistic if we are on this bullish move right now. People are saying, bull market's back in, bear market's gone, etc., etc., etc. I personally don't believe that. I think we do need a little bit more accumulation. COT data is clearly highlighting all of this. Again, if you don't understand this and you don't understand what I'm talking about, we got that free course. Like I said, scroll down bottom. I put it in the description of this YouTube channel. Scroll down to any one of my links, and you've got this. The book above, and then ultimately that's kind of the entry into kind of level 1 education. But I think for me, guys, that's the biggest reason why I say nothing's changed. We've literally gone 1, 2 for me, right? We've probably had a 3, 4, and a 5. That 5 kind of changes a lot of dynamics in the grand scheme of things, but that 5 could have been one of two things. It's either a much larger one, which means this is a bigger two, right? Which means we got a lot of accumulation to do, which is not what everybody wants to hear, but that does give us a much bigger upside target in a longer period of time. The second option is that was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the weekly, giving us the 3 of the monthly. So ugly looking 3 as well, right? And then this particular 3 move, why is it not curving? Perhaps I'll do this instead, nice and slow. There we go, right? So this particular 3 move, if this is the case, then it comes back 4. For the pure Elliott guys, this invalidates this move here, which potentially puts us back to the number 1, 2 move, bigger picture, right? But either which way for me, it's kind of irrelevant. Whether it's 4 and we're accumulating on the invalidation level, right? This is Bitcoin and you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. Or this is the 1, 2 bigger cycle, and then ultimately we're still in accumulation. So one way or the other, couple all of this together, we've got stochastic overbought monthly, very unlikely to see just a 3K drop on a monthly time frame, and we need some kind of reload. So I hope, for the sake of everybody in Bitcoin, everybody that's going to be interested in holding Bitcoin, even more concerned for people like Sailor. The reality is, if we go from here, then we are capped under the current all-time high, even if we hyperextend. Right? And that's where I think we are. So I'm going to leave it like that. Obviously, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next stream. Cheers, guys.